The second one, do I recommend changing exercises each time you train a particular muscle, or you can change exercises every 4 weeks or so? Once again, this depends upon what you want to happen. In the case, and your body type. In the case where a person is just starting training, matrix training, then what I do is recommend that they actually have one basic matrix principle. So let's get this clear, which they do with a number of different exercises each week. Here you say changing exercises each time. So in any of my matrix routine, generally what you see is that there are a range of exercises which are in the book. So if you're reading the books, you'll be able to follow those routines and know that there are several exercises which are involved. But what I do is to standardize the exercises and change the principles for a 12-week program generally. So you can try, if you try, my suggestion is those are the ones I've tested, and those are the ones that have given the results, so try those first. That is, use the same exercise, but change the principles. So you change the intensity of what you do with each of the exercises. That allows for a more standardized form for me to test them, to see how well they're working, and they work very well. So that's the answer to that question straightforwardly. Once you've gone past, and you're an elite bodybuilder, then get back to me if you are, and we'll talk about how you can then vary matrix to accommodate what you have in mind. And people, when you're writing in, make sure you tell me, as the powerlifter did, what it is that you want to achieve. If you're not letting me know whether you want the size, as in some cases you just want strength, you just want to get toned. Some people don't really care about changing their weight, so they don't want to lose, they don't want to gain weight. Some people want to lose weight. I need to know that in order to answer these questions in an informed way. So please be just a little bit more specific about what you're trying to achieve, how long you've been working at it, whether you're an elite bodybuilder, meaning that you've had a lot of experience and basically up to competition level. Okay? The next one here, number 3, which would be better for someone cutting up, full body workouts or split routines. Now, once again, this will obviously depend on a number of factors. There are certain people who lose weight very quickly, but let's just take the average people who come through the clinic, okay? And I'm not talking now about, first of all, a bodybuilder, and then I'll talk about a bodybuilder in a moment, which will relate to the last question I'll take today. We find that for someone who's just starting the routines, because it's so difficult to adapt to matrix training, so exhausting, that all the people in terms of the gains that I've been talking about they're making, actually make gains, and at the same time they make gains, as in the case of Lance Jensen, they get very hard. So they don't actually, even though they're putting on weight, get smooth. And that's very interesting. It's very different from conventional training. So the first point is that if you're actually doing a 12-week matrix trial, as I've laid them out in the books, and you just come into the book at any point you want where it suits your fitness level and your basic training needs, then you'll find that independently of everything else you do, you will get cut as you're doing this. So in general, you'll get harder, not ripped for a competition unless you combine this with diet, but you will get harder, okay? Now the next thing to say is, let's suppose the question we're asked by someone who is a bodybuilder and wanting to cut up. In the case of a bodybuilder, we've found that split routines are better from the point of cutting up than single routines. There are a lot of different reasons for this, and some of them are more speculative than others. In this context of exercise physiology, you can imagine there are a lot of different opinions, and there are a lot of different testing that goes on, and the testing actually gives different outcomes. So though it's all called science, it's not as straightforward as we'd like. So there are a lot of factors involved and variables involved in the testing, which will provide for statistically different results. But in general, I've found in the training routines that we've done and tested here, that the split routines are most effective. For elite bodybuilders, we have at least 2 split routines per day, and they're usually on, almost always, on different body parts, and we have them up to 3 split routines in a particular day. One reason for that, I believe, is that when you split the routine up into 3 forms, you're increasing the metabolism. You know that every time you lift weights anyway, in a general weight training routine, you basically will increase your metabolism for a short period afterwards. Matrix training has been found to increase the metabolism for quite a considerable period after the training routine itself. So the issue here is that if in fact you split the routine, 3 times during the day, or at least 2 times, then you're going to get that inspiration, that prompting of metabolism, if you like, at the end of each of the sessions, and carry from the weight training routine an increased metabolic rate throughout the entire day. So the answer is just very straightforward here in terms of what we've done. Split routines have been very good. Now, what I do in this context, however, this is the only other consideration, is that when we're training someone who's getting into competition, we have one full body matrix routine a week, and then the other days are split routine days. The full body routine, a matrix routine, an advanced one, is very exhausting, very exhausting. So we take a break in between the first day of doing that and coming into the split routine days. And then you go into the split routine days, one day of rest, and then go into the split routine days for another 4 days, and then a day of rest. So see how you go with this, and then come back to me. And if you have more specific questions on it, just write in, and I'll do my best next round to answer some of that, even if it's only brief, because we're likely to get a lot of other questions from other people.